Cool, hi, this is John from Peach Guitars. I've got Jack with us today.
Hi.
We're going to be looking at the new range of DrZ amps, the Mark II versions of the Maz series of amps. DrZ's gone through a real big kind of update with these models. We've been selling DrZ for about 15 years now, it must be, and the Maz series of amps has always been one of the best selling models in the range. It's been available in 18 watts, 38 watts, and guys like Buddy Whittington and Brad Paisley and all these sort of guys have used them, and that's, I guess, why we've sold a lot of the amps, because a lot of people wanted that Buddy Whittington sound. The cool thing with the Maz, it's kind of like DrZ's own blend of like a Fender, a Vox and a Marshall in one type of amp, has a master volume. But anyone that's played through a Z, especially a Maz, even the 18 watts version, I've always said how loud they are, you know, and how much you have to kind of crank it up to get a bit more kind of gain out of them, etc, etc. So what Z's done for the latest version, the Mark II version, he's introduced a post-phase inverter master volume, which means that you can kind of get quite a lot more gain actually out of the amps at much lower volume levels. And he's also added the a buffered effects loop to the circuit as well. It was previously, it was just a basic kind of insert type sort of loop, but now it has a proper buffered effects loop, so you can have long cable runs and use, you know, all your time-based stuff in the effects loop, etc, etc. But yeah, it's definitely a big difference that I've noticed so far, especially on the 38 watt version that I'm playing through. You can really get quite a lot of gain out of the amp without having to have it up quite so loud, which is good obviously if you're playing at home, or if you really want to get everything totally cooking on the 18 watt, you can turn the master and the volume up pretty high and it's not going to be absolutely killing you with volume. So Jack's playing through the Maz18 NR head there, going through the Cream 212 cab. I'm going through the Maz38 Senior, so that's the one with the reverb, going through this black Z-Best cab here. The main difference is that you've obviously got the senior versions, the junior versions, and then you've got the junior NR, which is the non-reverb versions. And so we do it in the 18 watt. So it's the Maz18 Junior non-reverb, and I'm going through the Maz38 Senior with reverb. So I've always found there to be quite a difference in gain and kind of overall tone between the reverb and the non-reverb version. The reverb kind of sounds a little bit more kind of Fendery and has a little bit less gain than what the non-reverb has, because that non-reverb version kind of has a purer, hotter signal path, so it has a bit more kind of gain. But Jack, do you want to just do a bit of playing? You're on the Maz18 NR using a Gibson 335.
Yeah, volume's full up at the moment, so there's a bridge pickup.
Volume, the actual master at just over half, and the actual volume, which is the main kind of gain, just at halfway as well. So what I'm going to do now is to smooth it out to get you a bit more of that kind of British blues, kind of that modern day blues kind of guitar sound that Bonamessa's going with. I'm just going to roll the master back and crank up the volume a little bit more, and that'll just smooth it out kind of a little bit and have quite a bit more gain to it, but still at a relatively low volume. How's that sound? Yeah, go on that the neck pickup there as well.
Oh, that was the neck pickup, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Bridge.
Sweet. And then also you've got the EQ bypass, which was something that has been added to the amps over the last few years, but this is the variable EQ bypass. So it has a knob on the side, whether you can see it there or not. You just got that level control there for the EQ bypass. So what that does is that literally takes the EQ completely out of the circuit and just adds a load more gain into the to the overall tone and the signal, but it now has a level control, so you can kind of blend a little bit more of that in. So if you just go with what you've on. Half. tube screamer type sort of pedal, almost just hitting
Still
the front.
Still very full bodied, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to crank that all the way up now. And that's with it off again. Yeah, it works kind of like having a really nice drive pedal in the front end of the amp. So I'm not saying these are, you know, modern day 2-channel kind of amps, but you can get a lot out of them by using different gain levels and the EQ bypass switch on there as well. So what I'm going to do is go to some cleaner sounds with Jack now. And go like the middle position on there, Jack. Get some nice chimey things going on. So really good overall, you know, versatile amp. Yeah. Only 18 watts, but it doesn't feel like you know, a lower wattage amp. You know, like a lot of people, the first time they play through a Maz, they can't get their head around that it's EL84s and not 6V6s or something like that, because it feels a lot big on the bottom end. Yeah.
Well, allow me to demonstrate. I was really impressed with how dynamic it still is, because it's still compressing. It's soft, it's very quiet. I wasn't expecting that from an 18 watt.
No, that's cool. And you've got the full set of EQ there, bass, middle and treble. I mean, if you want that more kind of like a Voxy, give us something like some Beatles type sort of like riffage chords or something like that. If you crank that cut up. It's proper old-fashioned guitar sounds, you know.
Yeah,
I think most of us guitar players, we're always kind of trying to sound like someone else rather than trying to come up with something new. But I think that one ticks all the boxes anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to switch over now and play through the Maz18 Senior. The Maz18 is an amp that I've used a lot over the years. For me, it's kind of it's got that. Almost like Fendery type sort of shimmer to it, but a little bit more compression, so I never felt that I always had to use loads of overdrive pedals with it and stuff, and I could get my Stevie Ray type sort of sounds out of it. Or if I was on the back pickup, you know, of like a Telly or a Les Paul Junior or something like that, I could get kind of a modern hot country type sort of sound, or, you know, like that sort of British blues type sort of sound that Jack was getting there as well. So what I'll do, I've got it set with the volume at halfway, and I've got the master up pretty high actually, just to get more of that sort of kind of natural sort of blackface type sort of sound out of it, but with you know, a little bit of kind of natural compression behind it. So just using a custom shop Strat with pretty low wind vintage style sort of pickups. So this is just the kind of the basic clean tone. So again, like what Jack was showing there, it's really dynamic. When you play soft, it really cleans up, and when you dig in, you get that. I've got with the EQ bypass for my amp, I've just got it on just a tiny small amount, so it's almost giving us just like it's the feel of the front end of the amp being pushed harder. So that's off, and this with it on again. So it's just adding kind of a little bit more mids to it, which kind of helps the Strat sustain a bit more as you go up the top end. turn that off again now. Back on again. So again, this amp has got quite a lot of gain to it as well. If I turn the master back, crank up the volume, this is kind of the way that Buddy Whittington used to use the amp. So he'd kind of just do everything all from the volume control of the guitar. This was before the EQ bypass mod was available. So I'm just going to run the volume there on full, got the master down, the cuts on a small amount, and I give it a little bit more reverb than what we was using before. So I'm going to roll the volume down. And then when I crank the volume on the guitar, just going to turn that reverb down a bit. Gone a bit crazy with the reverb. Cut down a little bit more. I mean, it's a natural compression and a really easy kind of sound to play with, but that still cuts across through a mix really nicely. But if you do want even more, turn that EQ bypass on. I'm just going to turn the reverb right down, and I'll see if I can get it as thick as I possibly can. Nice and hummy Strat sounds there. I'm just going to turn the tone back on the bridge pickup of the guitar. But now I'm going to go back to my normal Strat domain where I'm more comfortable. There's a lot of versatility and range that you can get out of what are kind of two relatively simple amps. Should we have a little play, Jack?
Yeah.
Why don't we do a bit of that, and then we'll switch up to some other guitars. You've got a telly and I've got a
Got to
Les
get
Paul
a telly
here.
plugged in, yeah.
Yeah, cool, all right. Right, let's switch over. Momentary pause. Just give us a few more licks, Jack. Give us a few more tasty telly licks. Bit of faux slidage there at the end, very nice. Right, cool. Well, you know, we could sit here playing all day. I really enjoy playing through these amps. It's nice to, you know, have an amp like this where you just plug in, use that EQ bypass pedal, and you can kind of achieve really
just does everything you want it to do, doesn't it?
Yeah, and with the inclusion of that effects loop, you could use it to, you know, put like a booster in the loop so you get a bit more level, or for your time-based stuff. It's just really nice to play through something so basic, but that sounds so good. You know, there's nothing in the way. You've got to be on it with your chops. You know, but if you put the effort in, use nice gear and nice guitars and everything all through it, you just get, you know, the best old vintage tones. And that's what Z's managed to do. Is kind of all the amps. They always sound really consistent. Each one that we get in, you know, you play for them, they sound great. And they just deliver all those great old tones. So come down and check them out. We've got them in stock in heads, cabs, and we've got the combos as well. They're currently the 38 NR, the non-reverb, that hasn't gone through the Mark II revision as yet. So we've got 18 with reverb, 18 non-reverb, and then 38 with reverb as Mark II versions. So I'm sure we'll see the 38 NR with a Mark II revision as well. But thanks for watching. Sorry I've waffled on quite a bit, but there you go. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.